Welcome to Growth Leaders, where we dive into the stories of the most innovative minds shaping our future. Today, we're thrilled to have Amy Smith, a visionary in education technology. Amy is the Chief Learning Officer at StraighterLine, an EdTech leader making education flexible and affordable. Her company partners with over 100 institutions globally, offering some plus 3,000 courses that break traditional barriers. Starting as an educator and charter school founder, Amy's passion for disruptive education solutions has made her a trailblazer in the industry. She's also an avid skier, recently taking on the challenge of Nordic skiing, which of course we in Sweden love to hear. In this episode, we'll explore Amy's journey, her leadership style, and her vision for future of learning. Whether you're an entrepreneur, educator, or innovation enthusiast, this conversation is packed with insights. Without further ado, let's welcome Amy Smith to Growth Leaders. Most welcome.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for having me. And everybody out there, thank you for listening today. So glad to be here.
Yes, that's great to have you. So I'm going to jump straight into, because I'm a little bit curious to understand, what influenced you to early in your life to get into a career path with passion for education, because when I spoke with you last time, you do have a passion there.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. I think for me, it started out as a conversation around access. We all go to school and we start college and we have a vision about what our lives are going to look like. And fortunately or unfortunately, the path is not linear. It's very winding, and I had the luxury and the opportunity of working in really high poverty urban settings as an undergrad in my early 20s. And then I realized that education was a way out of poverty and or into choice, where you get to choose the life that you desire to have, and you get to open up your ideas and opportunities. So super early assignments in college put me working in very poor urban settings that just changed the way I see the world.
Where was this?
This is this is in Cleveland, Ohio, which is a northeastern state in the Midwest in the United States. Mm-hmm. And I worked in the United States. We have what we call the projects, which is government subsidized housing for lower socioeconomic. And I worked in the projects, and that just changed me. It did. It made my career.
Have you seen any change in all this looking back? I mean, it's not too many years, but it's still a few years back, and it's interesting to see. Have you seen that change? Because we have so much discussion with US university, etc. Problems rising, and not at least what you guys are doing. So what has happened since you started and see this working in the poverty? Is there improvement, or is there ups and downs? How do you see it?
That's a good question. There are ups and downs, but overall, as a whole, the ecosystem, there is improvement. Access has been expanded. Going to college in the 80s, 90s, even the turn of the 2000s, was difficult to get funding, difficult to have a vision that you could as a lower socioeconomic student in an American high school. And now the vision is you can and should, and it's much more of a norm. So we're seeing an increase in first generation students into universities. We're seeing a flood and influx of government funding, subsidies, Pell Grants. So it actually is changing. So the access and the ability to get in have massively increased. Here's the kicker. What's not changing is graduation, the ability to complete. It's easier to get in, but all those barriers to finishing a college degree are still there. Life gets in the way. People have to work 2 or 3 jobs. So you can get in, but the question is, can you get out? And we're still, as Americans, we're still struggling with the graduation rate. It's never where we want it to be. It's not high enough.
And then there's also the question, do you need to get out? Not everyone does.
Right.
So,
because it's not the only path, right?
It is a status thing also, clearly. But, if you got the knowledge and skills of what you read and become really good at it, it does not matter. But it is a status thing also, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
StraighterLine. Let's give our listeners an insight. What do you guys do, and why is this important?
So we are the concept creator and the leading provider of high quality, affordable online college courses that are asynchronous, meaning you don't have to wait for class to start and you don't have to wait for a faculty. You can do them online at your own pace. And they're not time bound, so you can do a course as quickly as you possibly can. Maybe it takes you a month to complete a college course. Or if you want to take a college course for 3 or 4 months, you could do that as well, and you can fit it into your life. And on any given year, over 150,000 students take a class at StraighterLine from all across the United States, Canada, Mexico, and some institutions in Europe. So what happens is you are working towards some credential, some degree, some technical anything, and you need X class. And maybe you can get in at your campus, or maybe you can't. Section is full, or it's not offered that summer, or for whatever reason. So you pop over to StraighterLine and you take a college course and you transfer that course back into your institution. So you can't get a degree with us, but we are a great holding pattern to keep you moving. We help you be successful as an adult working learner. That's what we do.
So in the end, you have to sign up by a university, and then you can move those credits or whatever it's called to that program. Are those individual programs which is set up, or is it do they have to get into a firm program which is a bachelor of whatever it is, or can you actually create based on your interest, etc.? So when you got enough credits, then you're actually can do a graduation.
Yeah.
I'm just translating the Swedish system into the US system, trying to see.
They're more parallel than you would think, right? So what happens with us is you can take over a whole year or 2 years of credit and transfer it into a degree. So then a 4-year degree for you it still may take you 4 years, but you can transfer in the first 1 or 2 years from StraighterLine. And we have just under 200 partner schools who will actually formally transfer you into a degree program, be it an associate, so a 2-year degree, or a 4-year degree, a bachelor's degree, right? That first entry-level degree. So and then we also have a whole team of workforce people. Maybe I just need to work on business communications, or I need to refresh my finance class, or honestly, I got promoted and I need to work on how I manage teams. So I'm taking an organizational theory class. Like, we have all kinds of learners that do that as well. So people might be working adults for a variety of reasons, and they land at StraighterLine, many to continue their education and complete, but many to be successful in their jobs. We serve both populations.
And the courses, are they provided mainly from the universities to you, and you handle?
They're ours.
How does that?
We provide them.
They are yours.
So we're the author. Yeah. And faculty, design, and author, and just very traditional higher education model. A faculty will design a course, and then we launch it on an e-platform, and you can take it from anywhere in the world in any pace that you'd like to, and you can sign up and start in 10 minutes. It's quite convenient, actually.
So is there any other advantages more than that you have a flexibility? You can do it when you're motivated, and you can do it when you've got time. Is there any other advantages?
The other 2 key advantages are price point. So in the United States, an average college course of 3 credits costs usually over $2,000. A course at StraighterLine is under $200. So you just saved a few $1,000s. People are on budgets. And so we not only have flexibility in how you demonstrate that you've learned and mastered the skills, we even have flexibility in support. You can get tutored in physics at 2:00 in the morning by a live human on Saturday if you want to. So we have 24/7 tutoring with live people and writing centers and humans to help you. And so there's this whole network of helping you be successful. You're not alone, I guess, is a great way to say it. While your journey may feel lonely at times, there's a whole village at StraighterLine who helps you be successful.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So let's move to you, Amy, a little bit.
Please.
So you're a leader within your company, and maybe you have other assignments outside, which I don't know, but what personal values and or principle guide you in your decision making and leadership? Do you have any?
Yeah. Things that my core principles or values that guide me in what I do.
Yeah.
One, most every decision or idea or concept I try to make human centric, because at the end of everything we do, be it a product we sell, a course we offer, a school I build in my career, at the end of the day, somebody's going to go through an experience and be different on the other side. And the idea is that they're different in a positive way. So everything is human centric. And around that, I've learned in my years to be patient that the pace at which when we are less experienced in our career, we're often in a hurry. And as we get more experienced in our career, we know that benchmarks matter and pace matters. Urgency is good, but you don't want to break people at the same time.
No.
So sometimes being patient with numbers, patient with budgets, patient with revenue, patient with people, trying to get to end product, end project, end outcome matters. So I would say, as a core principle, first make it human centric. And to do that, give people what they need and be patient about it in order to achieve.
Yeah.
I run on those two things.
Yeah, one thing which is interesting is when you are a leader, I mean, there's clearly always things which are urgent, but everything is not urgent, and it cannot be. And when you start realizing that, then actually time can be into your advantage, because there are things which has to happen, but it's not that urgent. And the thing as a leader, it's not always you got the answers either. If it's gonna be a straight line or a left or right or a curve or whatever route you're gonna take, and time works for you. So that's a good insight. So let's see here what we should move on. Company, if we look a little bit and come back on then companies working with you, maybe want to have employees of theirs. So how do they measure success and impact, or what is the message here? Because yes, they get a stamp if they make it, and so on. But is there any other measurement they are looking for, or is it a promotional thing, or how do you see it?
That's a good question. So when we work with workforce partners, companies, corporations, everything from Amazon to aerospace engineering, depending on the industry, and we have a variety of those. The measurement usually is around job performance. So they're trying to upskill, a company is trying to upskill some of their workforce population to change behavior, to learn something new, either for promotion or shift in job. And so those are actually internal job metrics. Our success becomes their success on those metrics. They actually define those. For universities, the key metric is student success, either getting into and through some level of academic program. Could be as small as a certificate, or could be as large as a bachelor's degree, or somewhere in between. But at the end of the day, you got to take the learning with you. You don't just learn something for the moment, you learn it for the next moment. So the question for us at StraighterLine is, did you carry it with you? And were you able to continue to move forward? And when the answer is yes, be it in your job, in your career, in your academic journey at an institution, then we've succeeded. So for us, success is your success. So we define it through the partner, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense. And as we know, if we just make a jump in this, for those who actually want to know more about problem solving, I mean, most people try to solve different problems with the same methodology.
That's true.
Because that's what they've learned. But there are complex problems, there are easy problems, there are all types, and they actually need different models to be solved correctly. And I don't know, but that is something which I believe is extremely important in today's world, understanding that, because it is complex.
It is.
So,
I think two things that remind me of. One of the things that I work on in the hallmark of an educational career in my industry is the framework of problem solving. So you had just mentioned different models and different methods. So yes, teaching thinking, the how-to of it and the when and the why, but also the frameworks that you apply to carry a team, yourself, whoever is solving that problem or whatever is solving that problem. That's actually really important. Hard to do, but doable often. I think that honestly makes or breaks a curriculum or an experience. And the other thing I think about is the applicability of problem solving. You can solve things in a vacuum and they can be ethereal conversations, or you can actually solve some real world things in your whatever setting you're in the part-time job you have while you're a student or the full-time career you're having as a working adult. I mean, how do you take what you're learning with us and change your life or your job for the better, for a way you decide? Yeah. So I think I agree with you. Frameworks matter and applicability matters. Thinking is sort of the core of all of it, right?
It is. And there comes in critical thinking also, which is perfect to have when you watch the U.S. politics, for example. And we're not going to talk about that, but you know, it's headlines every day. And critical thinking, there are courses for that too.
Oh my gosh, I know you're so right. That made my day. That's a good one, Peter.
Yeah. So let's see here what you're thinking about the future, about the technology and the education technology. I'm putting it broad. I'm not talking about AI, but it could be AI, but there's so much more to the technology than that. What is your feeling? Are we there now?
I think it's continuing to evolve. I think we saw post-pandemic a rise in online education. So now you have, for us in the United States, actually globally, you have over 60% of students in any phase of life taking an online course, even when they're on a college campus in their dorm rooms. So the acceptance and the availability of learning in a technologically remote setting is alive and well. The conversation around, is it good enough? Who pays for it? Should we do it? That conversation has moved beyond what are the best ways and what do consumers want. So I think consumer demand is definitely driving that, and we're seeing significant shifts in technological infrastructure, in delivery methods and models, and also in how people learn. Think about, we call it answer your own questions, right? You just Google an answer for something. You're like, hey, I wonder about X, whatever that is. Well, that's just in time answers. We do everything immediately. So I think we're going to see.
And then you need some critical thinking in between.
Yeah.
Was it the correct? Yes.
I know. Yeah. True. Very true.
Yeah.
So I think a couple of trends are going to continue to happen. One, the immediacy. People want to start, stop when they want to start and stop. That flexibility is going to become more key. The second thing is, this is a bold prediction. I think we're 2 generations away from, will we even have campuses? Do we need them? I mean, I think there will always be a Harvard. There will always be an Oxford and a Cambridge, right?
Of course.
In what way? Will they always look like they do? And do we need them? And I can't believe I say that, being in my industry. But it's not this generation. It's not Gen Alpha. I think it'll be the children of Gen Alpha that will really change it.
And we see that already now where I mean, we always been into the coaching, the peer-to-peer coaching, but now building the communities, because when you have the students, because the sharing of knowledge, it's a lot about reflection, about what you learn and how others see it. And that's where you grow as such. And that can be done in so many other formats than sitting in a big hall listening to a professor talking about it. So that there is happening a lot in that area. So Amy, you have started up. How many? Is it one company or more?
2 or 3. 3 actually total.
2 or 3.
3.
So,
sorry, as I say that. Yes, 3.
Yeah, that's good. Good, you remember. So I'm certain there's a lot of people who are thinking about that. Sometimes during their life, I would love to do that, and so on. So, in a short minute or two, what when you look back, what are the hard things? What are the important things? and what are the drawbacks which you didn't know?
Oh, that's a great question.
There's
One
a lot
thing,
of them.
yeah,
Normally,
yeah, no, it's true.
time.
There's so many. I know. Let me try to make it super brief.
Yeah.
One of the most immediate things was I had getting smart about what problem you're solving. As you know, you want to start a business and solve for something. There's space off in that. What are you actually? You have to get really, really tight about what are you solving for and for whom. That actually takes time, more time than you want it to, but it takes time. Once you do that, then as you go into rounds of funding and think about the business model and the revenue and all the things that you're going to do to create this solution to whatever that is, the thing I did not know was that there were different ways to persuade. Communication matters. And so depending on my audience, everything from a state legislature in the United States to give me funding to build a school, to private equity to fund a business, and all different types, those are different populations. And the argument and how you persuade is completely different.
Yeah.
And I think I learned from trial and error. If I were to go back and do it over, I would be more intentional and thoughtful about who is my receiver and what is their style of receiving that communication. And then how do I craft my pitch to actually fit that style, not just the entity.
This sounds like a sales call. It is exactly
But it
what you
is.
do if you're
It
going to be
is.
successful. Yeah, it's great.
But
It's great.
eventually you have to make money at whatever your business is. Even if it's a nonprofit, you have to have yourself, employees, whatever solution you're trying to create for whomever in whatever way, you have to make money at it at some point. And so to do that, you have to figure out what's your business model and how you're going to fund it to get started. That's not easy. It's really hard, actually. But once you do,
has the time plans been too optimistic, or have you actually been able to hold a time plan when you start up and when you thought you were to be flying?
It's a great question. It almost takes 1.5 the time. So the 3 times I've started something, I thought it would take X amount of time, and it took X.5. It always took about 50% more than I thought for it to get stable. I could get it to take off, but I couldn't get it stable for a while. That took longer. And that's sheer passion will drive that. Believe in the solution that you're building, and people will follow. So
yeah,
it's a good question.
Those are good insights, and I think that's a reflection of most startups. I mean, it does take a lot longer time than you think, and there are hurdles on the way where you could really have to fight day and night, and then in the end you see the light. Now, Amy, we're gonna start with some rapid fire questions to you. If you are are you an early bird or a night owl?
Early bird, usually up about 4:30 or 5 in the morning.
What's your go-to book on leadership?
Oh, I love What Got You Here Won't Get You There. This is by Marshall Goldsmith. It's the basic concept that the role that you're in, you had skills to get to, but those skills actually may not get you to the next level or help you be successful in the next place. Love it.
Great. So what was the first thing you do to set you up in the morning for a successful day?
I read. I can't believe I said that, but at 4:30 in the morning with a cup of coffee, there are 3 newspapers I read all the time. 2 industry, I call them industry rags, right? B2B communications in my field, higher ed, 1 international, 1 US based. And then a little bit of reading for fun to calm before I actually sit down at my desk for the day. So I start my day gaining knowledge. That's how I start my day.
So what is the best piece of career advice you have received?
The best piece of career advice I've ever received was a colleague and an expert in a field that was not mine, an engineering field. And he said to me once, do the ideas need to be yours? Because there's enough good work to go around. So he taught me the concept that it's okay to give away all the credit as long as the work gets done and it's good work, it doesn't matter if it's your idea. And he's right.
Yeah. And that's in an organization, that's how you lift up people too, of course.
Right.
And what's your favorite tool for staying organized?
Believe it or not, it's an old school tool. Even though I'm in technology and ed tech, it's an old school tool. I have a black moleskin notebook and all my notes are in it, all my to-dos are in it, and my week of calendar is in it.
So that's your time management. And in 2024, I'm not asking 25, but you can take it to 25. What is the most impactful skill to learn?
I would say
And that of course, is depending on, I mean, take the field you want.
I would say any field. So regardless of industry and field, in any field, I think for teams to learn how to overtly discuss and decide how they're going to work. We often say we need better communication, we need better collaboration, we need better ... But the reality is institutions are getting flatter. Middle management jobs are decreasing. C-level jobs like mine, senior level leaders, are hard to find, but yet also those roles are shrinking. So organizations and institutions are getting flatter. That creates a matrix. So when you're in a matrix situation and that's continuing to grow and increase, then you need to collaborate differently. To do that, sometimes disparate and different teams, internally and externally, need to talk about how are they going to work together? Who decides? How will the work get done? How do we track it? What is success? I'm not sure those overt conversations actually occur, but I think they should.
Yeah,
it's a skill. It helps it all get
Yeah.
done. And it helps everybody know who's doing what and why and who's deciding. And that's actually, it just makes it smoother and it streamlines the work.
Thank you for that, Amy. Great having you on the Growth Leaders podcast here and listening to all your insights and sharing your experience. Lovely to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for having me. It was such a delight. I look forward to listening often, sharing out, and we learn from you as a leadership team all the time. Thanks again so much.
Thanks.